Are you lying to me, or are you stupid? Hey, I am Chuck the bureaucrat, and by the time you find yourself hip deep in the bureaucracy, you're going to find out that there is a remarkable amount of deception going on. Because the not-so-secret secret is that human beings are evasive, they're deceptive. Some people might even say that we lie, and we do it all the time. And so, if you're going to be successful navigating the bureaucracy, you got to understand why people lie, how to detect it, and then how to put that into context when you do find it. To get at this, I'm going to summarize a book called Spy the Lie. It's written by a group of former CIA officers, and it centers around a method of lie detection that was developed by a polygraph operator named Philip Houston. See, Phil joined the CIA back in 1978, and even though he was kind of young for the work, he got assigned to the polygraph division. Now, we call a polygraph machine a lie detector, but it doesn't really detect lies. What it does is it detects physiological changes in an interviewee's body in response to questions. It tracks 2 breathing responses, 1 cardiovascular, and then skin moisture. And then, after the interview is over, the examiner reviews the responses using well-established standards to detect responses that were kind of problematic. Now, there are a couple problems with this whole polygraph technique. I mean, the first one is you gotta strap someone into this complex machine, which means they have to submit to the questioning. And then you gotta have your questions carefully prepared in advance, and you gotta have somebody with months of experience and training on how to analyze the results. But that is where Phil developed a classified technique that let the CIA detect deception without using a polygraph machine, and it was only declassified in 1996. There is essentially a 5th physiological response that human beings exhibit when telling the truth isn't to their advantage. You see, even though they're deceptive all the time, human beings really don't like to make false statements. For some reason, that bothers them. So in response to a question where the facts aren't their ally, people tend to say something that is still true. Did you break old man Peterson's window? Well, I was home before curfew. So all of a sudden, detecting deception becomes a heck of a lot easier because you ignore the truth of what they say, because they're always going to say true things. And instead, you focus your attention on whether or not their response answers the question that was asked. Now, when I started this video, I used that cheeky question of, are you lying to me or are you stupid? And I used to work with somebody who, when they detected deception, they would challenge the person with that question. I don't recommend that you use that tactic, but it does have a very important grain of truth that can be useful to you. You see, one of the reasons that deception is so commonplace is that people don't just do it to cover misdeeds. They do it to protect their reputation and to put themselves in the best light possible. And so when you ask somebody a question and they don't know the answer, they may behave deceptively, not to lie, but to cover their ignorance. That means as you work your way through the bureaucracy and you detect deception, you've got to figure out why they're being deceptive, and you've got to handle it appropriately. I mean, if you spotlight somebody's ignorance, you are not making any friends. And now, when you do run across somebody who works really well with you, this is a good way to reward them and build relationships throughout the organization.